in the heart of a vast, shimmering forest, where the trees whispered secrets to each other and the flowers glowed softly like lanterns, there lay a hidden lake. It was no ordinary lake. Its waters sparkled like melted silver under the moonlight, and when the sun rose it shimmered in gold and pink, as if the sky itself had spilled its colors onto the water. This was the enchanted lake, a place where magic lingered like morning mist, and every creature that lived nearby seemed to feel its gentle wonder. Every night, when the stars twinkled like tiny lanterns in the sky, the lake would awaken with soft music. Not music anyone could hear with their ears, but music that made hearts beat a little faster and smiles grow just a little wider. And at the heart of this magical melody danced Lila, the Swan Princess. Lila was no ordinary swan. Her feathers gleamed with the softest silver, tipped with the palest pink, and her eyes sparkled with curiosity and kindness. She could dance, twirl, and leap across the water with such grace that it seemed as though the stars themselves had lent her their light. But Lila carried a gentle sadness. By day she was a swan gliding silently across the lake, but when night fell, she could become a human again, though only until the first rays of dawn kissed the water. The spell had been placed long ago by a mischievous shadow of magic, and even though Lila had learned to live with it, she often felt a deep loneliness that not even the enchanted forest could soothe. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the silver-tipped trees, painting the sky with soft shades of lavender and peach, a young prince wandered into the forest. His name was Leo, though in his village he was often called the Dreaming Prince because he always looked beyond what was in front of him, searching for stories and wonders that others overlooked. He wore a cloak that shimmered like moonlight, and his eyes sparkled with the same curiosity that seemed to float from the lake itself. Leo had been following a trail of glowing fireflies, which he thought were leading him to a secret treasure. But instead, they guided him to the enchanted lake. When he first saw Lila gliding across the water, he stopped in awe. She looked like a living poem, her feathers catching the fading sunlight and turning it into sparkling streams that danced across the surface of the lake. "Hello," Leo called softly. Afraid that even a loud word might shatter the magic around her, Lila paused, tilting her head in curiosity. "Hello," she replied, her voice like the tinkling of tiny bells. Leo's eyes widened. She could speak. Who are you?" he asked, stepping a little closer to the water's edge. "I am Lila," she said with a gentle bow. "And you are welcome here, though most humans cannot see this lake." Leo smiled, a little nervous but excited. "I am Prince Leo. I follow wonders wherever they appear, and tonight it seems I've found the greatest wonder of all." At that moment, a soft hoot echoed from a nearby tree. A round, fluffy owl with feathers that shimmered like polished bronze swooped down and landed on a low branch. "You have indeed found the wonder, young prince," said Misty the owl, ruffling his feathers with pride. "But be warned, wonders are often wrapped in puzzles, and this one is no exception." Leo's eyes sparkled with curiosity. "A puzzle? What do you mean?" Misty blinked slowly, as if measuring how much to reveal. "The swan you see before you is no ordinary swan. She is under a spell. By day she is a swan, and by night she becomes a human. Only someone with courage and kindness can truly understand her, and even then the lake keeps many secrets." Layla lowered her head slightly, a faint blush across her cheeks. "It is true," she said softly. "I have lived here for many years, dancing and watching the world pass by, but I have few friends. Most creatures fear the spell that holds me." Leo's heart thumped. "That sounds lonely, but I promise I will not fear. I want to be your friend." For the first time in a long while, Layla's heart felt a warmth she had almost forgotten. Slowly, she transformed into her human form, her silver hair flowing like liquid moonlight, her eyes glinting like the lake itself. She smiled shyly at Leo. "You are very brave to say that," she whispered. They spent hours by the lake, sharing stories as the moon rose higher and the stars twinkled with gentle approval. Lila spoke of her days on the lake, of dancing and gliding, of feeling the magic of the water under her wings. Leo told tales of the villages he had visited, of markets full of colorful spices and fabrics, and of the countless adventures he dreamed of having. Misty the owl watched from his branch, his eyes twinkling. "Ah, young hearts meeting in magic," he muttered to himself. "There is hope yet for this enchanted lake." As the night deepened, fireflies swirled around them in spirals of golden light, and the lake itself seemed to hum with joy. Lila took Leo's hand and led him to the center of the water, where stepping stones magically appeared beneath their feet. Together they danced. At first, it was clumsy. Leo had never danced on water before, but soon he followed Lila's graceful movements. Each step sent ripples across the lake, which glimmered and sparkled as if reflecting their newfound friendship. "I never knew the world could feel this." "Magical," Leo said, laughing as he nearly tripped over an invisible ripple. "Magic is everywhere," Layla replied, spinning with joy. "Sometimes you just have to find the right place to see it." The owl hooted softly, amused by the sight. "And sometimes you have to find the right friend to share it with." As dawn approached, a soft glow crept across the sky. Layla's form began to shimmer and fade, her human shape slowly turning back into a swan. Leo watched in awe but did not step back. "I will return tonight," he promised. "And every night I will come if I can. We will discover the magic together." Layla's heart lifted at his words. "I will be here," she said, her voice gentle but filled with hope. "And I will wait for you." With a final flap of her silver wings, Layla glided across the lake and disappeared into the morning mist, leaving behind a trail of sparkling water and the echo of a soft musical laugh. Leo stood by the edge, watching, feeling as though he had glimpsed a dream that might just be real. Misty the owl shook his feathers, nodding wisely. "The first part of their story is always the most delicate," he said. "Friendship has bloomed, magic has stirred, and hearts have begun to beat in rhythm. But the lake has many more lessons to teach, and not all are easy to understand." Leo smiled, a little tired but full of excitement. "Then I will learn every lesson. I will dance, I will explore, and I will be here." The sun rose, casting golden light over the lake and turning the silver ripples into sparkling ribbons of gold. Layla rested in the water, her swan eyes shining with hope, while Leo walked back through the forest, dreaming of the night when he would return. The enchanted lake seemed to shimmer brighter that morning, as if it too had been happy to see the connection between the young prince and the swan princess. Somewhere deep in the trees, Misty the owl gave a quiet, satisfied hoot. And so the story of friendship, courage, and gentle magic began, with the promise of more adventures, more dances, and more moments that could make even the stars smile. And though Lila and Leo were just beginning to understand the beauty of their bond, one thing was already certain: some friendships were meant to be magical, and some nights under the moon were meant to be remembered forever. Night had returned to the enchanted lake, draping the forest in a gentle veil of deep blue and silver. The fireflies rose from the grass in soft spirals, casting tiny lanterns of golden light around the water. Leo had kept his promise. He had wandered through the winding forest paths, guided by the glow of fireflies and the distant shimmer of the lake, until he finally reached the familiar waters. His heart thumped with excitement and anticipation. "Lila," he called softly, hoping not to startle her. From the center of the lake, a graceful shape emerged. Layla, her silver feathers glowing faintly under the moonlight, glided across the water toward him. As she approached, the water itself seemed to respond, rippling and sparkling in a soft, welcoming pattern. "You came," she said, her voice a gentle song that carried across the lake. "I promised," Leo replied, bowing slightly as he stepped onto the stepping stones that magically appeared beneath his feet. "And I always keep my promises." Layla smiled, a blush in her human form, though only for a moment. The spell required her to remain a swan until the moon rose high, and then she could dance as a human. Tonight the moon was full and bright, so soon she would transform. But before that moment came, they simply enjoyed each other's company, sharing quiet laughter and stories, letting the magic of the lake wrap around them. Suddenly a shadow drifted across the water. From the mist, a figure emerged, the Shadow Witch. She was not frightening in the way most witches are, but her presence carried an air of mystery. Her robe shimmered in shades of midnight blue and soft gray, and her eyes glimmered with curiosity rather than malice. "You have returned, little prince," the Shadow Witch said, her voice like the rustling of silk. "And the Swan, as always, greets you with grace." Leo straightened, trying to look brave. "I want to help Lila," he said firmly. "I want to understand her spell and learn how to lift it, if I can." The Shadow Witch's lips curved into a small smile. "Very well. But magic is never simple, and the lake tests those who wish to change what has been set." She raised a delicate hand, and the waters around them shimmered and shifted. Images appeared in the reflections, twisting vines, floating lanterns, dancing shadows. To break a spell, you must show courage, selflessness, and the heart of a true friend. "Are you ready, Leo?" Leo nodded. "I am ready." The first test appeared almost immediately. A branch floated across the lake, blocking the stepping stones. It seemed harmless, yet when Leo tried to step around it, the water beneath shimmered as if urging him to turn back. Layla flapped her wings, worried. "Trust yourself," she whispered. The lake responds to bravery. Leo took a deep breath, closed his eyes for a moment, and stepped onto the branch. It rocked slightly, but he kept his balance, moving with quiet determination. The branch settled into place, forming a perfect path across the lake. Layla's feathers glowed brighter, and even the fireflies seemed to twirl in delight. "You are brave," said the Shadow Witch softly, almost like a teacher praising a student. "But courage alone is not enough. The heart must also choose kindness." The next challenge appeared. A small, frightened turtle was stuck among the reeds, its shell tangled in silver vines that glimmered but tightened with every attempt to struggle. Leo saw it immediately. He knelt and carefully untangled the turtle, speaking softly to calm it. Lila watched, her wings brushing the water as she leaned closer. "There," Leo said gently. "You are free now?" The turtle blinked at him and slowly paddled away, leaving tiny ripples in its path. The lake seemed to sigh with relief, and the moonlight shimmered as though applauding Leo's kindness. The Shadow Witch nodded. "Courage and kindness. You understand them. But the final test is the hardest. It requires trust and sacrifice." She waved her hand, and a glowing image of Lila appeared, as if pulled from the lake itself. She was surrounded by mist that tried to pull her back into her swan form, faster than before. Leo's heart ached. "I won't let her be trapped," he said, stepping forward instinctively. But the stepping stones beneath him began to tremble. He realized the lake was asking for something more than just words. "You must offer a piece of yourself," the Shadow Witch explained. "Not your treasure, not your crown, but your heart. Only then can the spell be truly softened." Leo hesitated, feeling the weight of the challenge. Then he looked at Layla, who was still smiling, even in the mist that tried to pull her away. He thought about their friendship, about all the moments they had shared, the laughter, the dancing, the stories by the lake. Slowly, he closed his eyes and spoke aloud. "I promise to care for you, to stand by your side even when the world is uncertain. I give my heart, not for power or reward, but because friendship and love matter more than anything else." The lake responded instantly. A wave of silver light burst upward, twirling around them both. The mist that had surrounded Lila swirled and shimmered, and then, with a soft sigh, it lifted completely. She transformed into her human form, radiant under the moon, her silver hair and soft pink-tipped feathers glowing in harmony. She ran toward Leo, her laughter like wind chimes in the night. "You did it!" she cried, wrapping him in a gentle hug. "You showed the courage and kindness that the lake required. You kept your promise." The Shadow Witch smiled, clapping her hands softly. "Well done, Leo. You have passed every test. The spell will not vanish completely, for some magic is meant to remain, but it will now allow Lila to choose when to be swan or human. The lake honors true friendship." Layla looked at the water, then back at Leo. "It's because of you," she said softly. "Because of your heart, I can dance freely and be myself. You've made the lake a place of hope, not just magic. Leo laughed, a warm, happy sound that echoed across the shimmering water. And you've made the world feel magical for me, Lila. I never knew friendship could be this powerful. As they danced together on the moonlit lake, stepping stones appearing beneath their feet in perfect rhythm, the fireflies rose in spirals, twinkling in celebration. Even the trees leaned closer, as if they wanted to see the joy in the dance. Each movement Layla and Leo made created ripples of light that spread across the lake, touching every corner of the enchanted forest. For hours, they danced, twirling, leaping, and laughing. Even Misty the Owl joined in, fluttering above them in playful circles, hooting in encouragement. "Bravo!" he cried. "Bravo! The lake has never seen such a joyful display." When dawn finally crept over the horizon, painting the lake in shades of pink and gold, Lila rested by the water, no longer trapped by the spell, though still shimmering faintly with magic. Leo sat beside her on the stones, their fingers intertwined. "You know," Leo said softly, "I think magic isn't just in the lake or the spells. It's in moments like this, in the courage to try, in kindness, and in caring for each other." Layla nodded, her eyes sparkling with tears of happiness. "Yes, the magic is in our hearts. The lake only reminds us to see it." Misty the Owl hooted softly, ruffling his feathers. "And remember, young ones, the lake's magic works best when shared. Courage, kindness, and love are the truest spells of all." Leo smiled, taking a deep breath of the crisp morning air. "Then we will share it together." And so, under the rising sun, the enchanted lake glimmered with more joy than ever before. Layla could choose when to dance as a human, but she never stopped gliding across the waters as a swan when the day called. And Leo, ever the dreaming prince, found not just adventure, but friendship, courage, and the gentle, magical rhythm of a heart that truly belonged to someone else from that day forward. The lake seemed brighter, the fireflies twinkled longer, and every creature in the forest whispered tales of the swan princes and the brave young prince who had danced under the moonlight. And though there would always be challenges, and the shadows of the forest sometimes played tricks, Leela and Leo had discovered the greatest magic of all, the magic of a friendship built on courage, kindness, and the willingness to open one's heart. And as the stars shone high above, reflecting in the silver waters of the lake, the forest itself seemed to sigh happily, knowing that some stories were meant to be timeless, like the dance of the swan and the prince beneath the gentle moonlight.